Hey, this is John. Welcome back to Modern Old School Developer. In this video, we're going to be working on moving more of our dummy state into our backend. So we're storing actors, categories, series, and studios just as dummy values in here right now. But what we need to do is be able to use this form to add new values, persist it to our database, and be able to recall those values later on. So let's see how we're going to do that. Let's open up VS Code and let's go into our front end, source, state, and types. We'll go into our initial state. Let's start with the actors. Let's just delete all of our actors right now. All right. And now we're going to go into our state types. And we made a movie file type before. What we need now is an actor type. So let's make something like that. So let's say export interface actor type, and this is going to be an ID number and a name, which is a string. So this ID and name is common to all of our properties. The actors, categories, series, and studios, they all look like this. So let's make a base type we can extend. So we'll say export interface, I don't know what to call it, movie data base type, and it's going to have the ID and name. And now we're going to export the interface actor type extends movie data base type. And there's basically nothing else in here, so we can just do it like this, I believe. All right, those are all of the types we have, so we can go change the types of our state type. So the actors, categories, series, and studios, they're no longer arrays of strings. They're going to be arrays of these types. We'll just do the actors for now, because that's the only one thing we've changed. But let's say this is an actor type. There we go. We'll change the rest of them later. All right, so now that we have the proper actor type and the proper state, we won't have any actors in our list. So what we need to do now is decide where we're going to put that in the backend. So let's open up our backend movie manager and let's go into our main where all of our routes are. We need some routes for the actors. So let's make a post route to add a new actor. So we'll say app.post. The endpoint is going to be actors. The response model is going to be the new actor. So it's going to be, oh, we need that there. It's just schemas. Yeah, that will work. Okay, then we define the add actor function. And like everything, we're going to need a database session. But we are also going to need, the actual actor. So we need to have an actor that we get in from our JSON data, and that will be what we use to actually accept the actor with the name and make a new actor. So to do that, we have two options. We could simply define a name with a string and make that a query parameter, but I'd like it to be an actual JSON body type. So let's do that instead. So let's go into our schemas and let's make a movie data schema, or a metadata schema maybe? I don't know, I need to call it something. There needs to be some word that underlies, the movie properties. Maybe movie property, maybe that's what we'll call it. So let's say it is of class movie property, and it will extend the base model, and we have a name, that's a string. Now this is a JSON model, nothing to do with our database, so we don't need it to be the ORM mode. This is just fine like it is. So instead of doing a string, we're going to say it is a data of type movie property. There we go. So we have our data, and we see we can get data.name, and that will be what we get from there. So all we have to do now is actually create the actors. So to do that, we need to make a new function in our CRUD file. So we've got get movies and add movies. We need one for add actor. So let's do def add actor. We're going to have a database, which is a session type. and we're going to have a name, which is a string. And we are going to return a models.actor. All right, so if we wanted to do that, we simply need to do what we did in the add movie, but with an actor. So let's say actor equals models.actor, and the name is going to be the name. Now we can simply do this again, so we can try to add these things. Not that much. So we will add it to the database, we'll commit it, we'll refresh the database so that we have our new actor in there, and if we have some property, we will roll back and we will return none. Otherwise, we're going to return our new actor. So there we go, we can now add an actor to the database. All right, so let's say we're going to return crud add actor with data.name. All right, and that should be all we need to do. So there may be a problem though if we get a none value. So let's see what happens if we do end up with a none value from add actor. So let's start out by checking that our UVcorn server is still running. Yep, it's okay. So we'll go back over to our FastAPI and we'll go into our docs. Okay, so now we can post actors. So you can see we need an example body of name that's a string. So we can try this out. And the name is going to be Chris Hemsworth. And then we can execute that. And you can see that it got us internal server error. Interesting. That wasn't what I expected. So I wonder what happened there. Let's see here. Missing one required positional arguments name. All right. What did we do wrong? I think we typoed something. Let's see here. CRUD add. Oh, we didn't add the database. VS Code was telling me there was unused property, but I didn't see that. So, okay. Now that we do that, now let's try it again. There we go. ID 1 Chris Hemsworth. So there we go. We got a successful response. Now let's see what happens if we try to add the exact same actor twice. This will create an integrity error. And we got a response body of null. That's really not what we're going to want to return. We're not going to want to return null for our actor, so we should probably fix that. Let's see how we can do that. So let's start out by saying, instead of just returning this, let's get the actor if actor is none. Then we're going to return something else. We're going to raise an exception. HTTP, what's that thing called? Yeah, HTTP exception. Just this. And I want the status to be HTTP for what? Conflict? Could call it conflict. Well, I don't really know what some of these HTTP codes mean, but I'm going to go with 409 conflict for now, and I'll figure out if we need to change that later on. But it sounds good to me at the moment. And we need to give it a message. So let's look back down in here in our post thing here. It needs to be a detail of message with a string. So detail equals message, and the string is going to be actor already in database. And let's tell it the actor name so it knows what's in there. So let's put an F string in there. Actor, not actor though. I want to just use data.name. Oopsie. What did we do there? There we go. Data.name. Okay. So actor, whatever the actor name is already in database. And otherwise, we will return the actor, and that should be good. I want to do one more thing real quick. I want to be able to show that we might have HTTP 409 error in our docs. So to do that, we can do this, where we tell our responses. The response model is for the 200 OK code. But if you have other responses, like down here we had a 500 error, we can tell it that as well. So let's tell it that as well. So in add actors, we will also have this, and it's going to be a 409 code this time. And I've made a model, this HTTP exception schema, which is just the detail of a message and a message string. And the description is going to be attempt to add duplicate actor. Okay, so let's go see what that looks like. So if I go back into the docs, read all that stuff. So if I go over into post actors, you'll see that our responses could be 200, a successful response, or 409, attempt to add a duplicate actor. There's also a 422 validation error that it does for us by default, and this is if you didn't format the response properly. So anytime you don't format the response properly, like we didn't supply the name with a string, if that wasn't our request body, then you'll get a validation error. But if we try to add a duplicate actor, we're going to get this message back. So why don't we try that again? So let's try it out, and let's do Chris Hemsworth again. So there we go. We got a 409 error, and we got a message which said actor Chris Hemsworth is already in database. So there we go. A detailed response for our message. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. We can now add actors. So why don't we make it so that the front end can use that endpoint to actually add our actor? All right, so here in our admin add form component, you can see where we get the case actor, we're going to dispatch this, but that's not the behavior that we want anymore. So we're going to comment that out, and what we're actually going to do is run that thing. So we're going to have another fetch request. So let's see what we can do to get that fetch request. And you saw we did make it an async function before, but didn't have any async await stuff in here. Well, this is why I made it async, so we can do that later on. All right, so let's get a response from the server. So const response equals await fetch, and we need the URL, which is going to be process.m.reactApp.backend, and the endpoint is going to be actors. We need to define our properties because we do have different properties now. Our method is going to be post, and we do need the headers this time because we do have a content body. So content type is going to be application JSON. All right, and we do even need the body property because we don't have it right now. So the body property needs to be an object with a name and the actual name that we're using. So we can do JSON stringify, and we're going to stringify the object, and the name is going to be the name. And because of ES6, we can just put it name just like that. So that should be good. So there we go. There is going to be our response. Now we need to do const data equals await response.json. Now we could get an error code here, so let's check to see if response is okay. If it is, we'll move on, and if it's not, we'll do something else. So it would be good to have some kind of indicator that told us we added this actor. So we're going to do something very similar to what we did in the import form. We'll have a status field as well, and it's going to be a useState handler. So let's say we have const add status and set add status equals useState, and it's going to be a blank for by default, and that should have been an array, not an object destructuring. All right, so we've got our hook, and now we can set the status. So if the response is okay, we will set that to set, what do I call that? Set add status? Set add status, and we'll say, give it a backtick, actor name added Okay, and otherwise we'll say set add status. So there could be a different kind of error code. So we might need to handle the actual error codes. So why don't we do a switch on response dot, is it code? Status? Yeah, status. Okay. So if we get a case 409, this is our duplicate actor. Set add status to be actor already exists. And then if we get the case 422, which we never will, but we'll handle it anyway. Set, you know what, let's just handle all the other things. Let's just handle it in a default case. Set add status unknown response from backend. And there we go. Don't need a break on a default case. Well, give it at the bottom anyway. All right, so that should be all good. That should allow us to actually add those things. So let's use this status to, tell us what happened. So let's see where we might want to put that. All right, so we've got this button right here that adds the actor. Let's put the response right above here, right under that. So let's go modify that component over there. So not in the actor selector, it is in the admin add form right before our button. So where is our button? Right here. So yeah, I want to add a div right here. Div. It's going to be an optional thing though. So if we have add status, then we're going to respond with this div. Class name equals margin y of 1, I'm thinking. And we're going to have add status. So I think that should work. So let's see if that actually does work. All right, so I want to add an actor. So let's try Liam Hemsworth. Actor Liam Hemsworth added. I need that to be centered though. Let's do that real quick. So let's do text center. There we go. I think there's actually too much space between these two components. I think I may fix that, but I'll go do the styling a little bit later. As long as it works, I'm happy. So let's try to add Liam Hemsworth again. It already exists. Cool. So yeah, that is what we need to be seeing. So there we go. That looks good. So yeah, I think that takes care of the actor stuff. Now let's go back to the main page. I did comment out the actors for now because it was causing a problem with the rest of the state. So let's go ahead and make it so that it pulls the actors from the actual database backend. All right, so it's going to be very similar to what we did in the movie list component. So let's go ahead and grab this loading thing right here to add our state. We will go ahead and import useState. And we'll make a useEffect hook. So it's going to be basically very similar to this. So useEffect, which we will import from React. We need to get the dispatch hook. All right. So we're going to do a const response, and we're going to, let's make this some more space. Instead of movies, we're going to fetch actors. I know it doesn't exist yet. We'll make it in a minute. Then we're going to get a const data equals await JSON response, and our action is going to be set available actors. Our payload will be our data, and we'll set loading to be false. So now we need to go ahead and make the state that can do that. So let's go ahead and go back to our state types. So we need, what do we need? We need something down here. We need to set available actors. That's our new action type, and it's going to be very similar, but we're going to have this thing. So it's going to be set available actors action. The action is going to be set available actors, and it's going to be a movie database type. I might rename that. We'll see. For now, it's fine. So movie database type. Okay, so there's our interface to add this. So now we need to go into our reducer and fix this action. We no longer have the add action user because that was just for adding a string. Now we need to actually set which actor is available from the database. So we have actions.setAvailableActors. So we're going to return a spread of the existing state and the new actors, which is just the action.payload. Payload, fill it out. All right, so set available actors, and I didn't put that, I think, in the action, so let's go add that real quick. So it should be or set available actors action. All right, that looks good. And that looks right. Let's move this case down a little bit to right under here. All right, so we can now set the actors if we can get that. We need to import actions, I think. All right, there we go. So that takes care of that. The only thing left is to actually make the endpoint that will fetch the actors. So let's go do that. Let's go back into our backend endpoints. We'll go into our main, and we're going to make a GET request, the same as we did for movies, basically. And it's going to kind of do the exact same thing. So we're just going to copy this, and we'll post this. The endpoint's going to be actors, and it will be get all actors, and then we'll say get all actors, and then we just need to make that function. It should return a schemas.actor, I think. Let's go check that real quick. If I go into my schemas, is the actor what I want? It's a movie data property. Yeah, integer and a name. Okay, that looks good to me. All right, that should be good then. So in our main.py, that looks good. Let's go into our CRUD and let's make the get all actors function. So find get all actors, db session returns a list of models.actor. Okay, and again, we're going to return a database query. It is going to be a query on models.actor, so the actor table. We don't have any other tables, so there's nothing really to join by. So all we have to do is order by their name. So we'll order by, and then we'll do models.actor.name. And I believe that should be everything we need if we add all. So that looks pretty good. Let's go check and see if our Python endpoint's still running. Yep, looks like it's okay. If we go over here to our FastAPI and I refresh this, what am I going to get? If I get all actors, what happens here? We get our 2 actors. So does that work over here? Nope, we got an exception. Let's go take a look at that real quick. I think we never changed this. This makes no sense right now. So we've got our available actors. What we actually need to do is we take the actor, and the key is going to be actor.id, and the value will also be actor.id, and then this will be actor.name, and that might work. Let's go see if it does. Hey, there we go. I hit refresh, we get Chris Hemsworth and Liam Hemsworth. And if we go back to our admin page and we add a new actor, say Sigourney, I can't spell her name, Paul Rudd. There we go. I can spell him. And we get that in there. I was hoping for a actor in the middle. Here, let's add Johnny Depp. Okay, and you can see it is alphabetical, so it is sorting that for us. So there we go. That is the enabling of our admin form to put things in there like actors. All right, that's a good wrapping up point for today's episode. So the rest of them, the categories, series, and studios, are all going to be very, very similar to what we did with the actors. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that code in the background and post that with the lesson code. I might make 2 git commits so you can see the changes, so you can see what I did. But other than that, I'm going to just do it in the background. I'm not going to do it on video because it's almost identical. We're basically just changing actors to categories or studios or series. So it's going to be super, super similar. So I'll split up the GitHub commits so you can see the changes, but that is going to be done in the background. So hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, come back and see us next time, and I will see you then. Thanks for watching.